Buying an investment property can be a great way to cash in on the real estate boom, but most people stick to the areas near where they live, which might not offer the best bang for your buck.
Yeah, enter the borderless property investor, someone who is willing to go much further afield to maximise their investment potential. We're joined by Arjun Paliwal from InvestorKit, who has a portfolio of 13 properties across 6 Australian cities. Congratulations, well done. Good morning to you. Well, you've got some tips to get people started with borderless buying. Let's start with the first and hardest one. How do you find a high market pressure area where it's best to buy at the moment?
Good morning, all. This is where I get the property lab coat on. I'd start off with what I call market health. This is where you're looking at economic activity, jobs, affordability, infrastructure, population. And then I'd start to move on to what I call market trends. Market trends are all about listings, sales volumes, days on market, vendor discounting, vacancy rates, yields, and rental days on market. In summary, what I've just said is that we're looking for areas that have a lot going on for them, are selling faster, are easier to sell properties, and very difficult to find a rental property, hence rents are rising and prices are rising too.
So Arjun, what kinds of places, sort of towns with universities perhaps, or with major infrastructure projects pending, what kind of things should people be looking out for when they're trying to find one of these high pressure markets?
Well, the good news is whatever the reason may be, whether it's great agricultural markets, tourism markets, or whether there's just a lot of infrastructure happening, they all tend to show up in the trends. So by that, I mean, are places selling quicker, days on market falling? Do vendors not have to give away as much discounts? So vendor discounting is falling. Is there not a lot of supply out there? Listings are falling. So the beauty about real estate is that many reasons can come to cause it, but it's the same trends that tend to show when areas see high pressure.
The simple fact is that many of us can't afford to buy into the areas that we are currently living in, the cities that we live in. Most people would be nervous about that, managing a property outside of, I guess, an area that they don't know. What sort of professional should you bring in to help?
Well, buyer's agents are a great start. This is where you can have someone on your side rather than you against the seller and you against the seller's agent. You have someone on your side exclusively representing you to find you the right deal. Other people to have on your team are pest and building inspectors, solicitors, property managers. These are all the right people to make sure that your due diligence is done correctly.
So how many times would you visit the properties that you've purchased, and have you purchased any without even seeing them?
Well, fun fact, the only property I ever purchased personally without with seeing it was my own home that I'm living in. The rest of my properties I purchased sight unseen. And this is something where people aren't comfortable with to begin with. But if you think about it, you've got the data right. You've got a qualified building and pest inspector looking at it. You've got property managers giving you opinions on the area. The house is structurally sound and the contracts look right. What else will you visiting it really do in terms of adding value?
Arjun, the last thing we want to do is stretch ourselves too far. I mean, how much money in the bank do you think you need to get a portfolio started to comfortably be able to invest in property?
When people think about investing in property, they quickly assume the backyard and the capital cities. But when you stretch out to the whole country, so many more options come up. And it can start as little as $85,000, even $80,000, but up to $100,000 or more. This is what covers you for your purchasing costs, your deposits, and all your due diligence costs as well.
Yeah, it is risky business, we must add, so make sure you do check with your financial advisor and your bank before moving ahead. Arjun, it's really interesting what you've done, and thanks so much for sharing your tips with us this morning.
Thanks for having me on.